Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I am making a waterfall for the front inside cover of my Christmas journal. I've collected several pieces here. I have a tab from the Holiday Dream journal kit. I have some journal cards from the Holiday Dream journal cards kit, and I've printed those both sides. Those come with a backer paper, so I have printing on both sides of those. And I have a piece of cardstock that's been printed on both sides with pages from the Holiday Dream journal kit. My goal is to make a waterfall flip. When you pull, it will flip all of these pages up, and I want to mount that right here to the inside cover of my journal. The first thing I need to do is cut this cardstock down to the same width as my journal cards. This is going to be the base piece for my waterfall. So I'm just going to grab a pencil, which is here somewhere. There we go. And make a little mark at the top and a little mark at the bottom. Like that. And I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and cut that down. My cardstock is printed on both sides, and at this point I need to decide which side is the side that I want to see when I pull the tab on my waterfall. And I think I'd like to have the green side come down. Let's see here. No, I think I'd like to have the cream side come down. So whatever side I want to show whenever I pull the tab, that is the side that's going to be face down. Next, I'm going to select my journal cards. I've selected 5. You could probably make this longer and taller and get really crazy with it. I have printed these front and back, as I said before, and I've put them kind of flip-flopped. So I have one with the image on top and then one with the image on the bottom. And then I repeated that. I'm just going to show you how I've selected them. That way when I pull it, these little characters are going to like flip up. You just have to remember to put them in upside down whenever you glue them in. And we'll talk about that when we get to that point. And then I pick one as my bottom card. This bottom card is going to attach right on to my base piece. And I'm going to do that with Fabri-Tac. This is not a pre-measured project. I am doing this all kind of by feel. So I'm going to add the glue right here along the bottom, a nice coating of it. So while this dried, I went ahead and inked all the edges on everything. I had kind of forgotten to do that. I've inked front and back right here on all of the panels. And you can see I've only overlapped this about 1/2 inch. Now, this is going to vary per project. The goal is you need a strip that's at least twice as long as the entire waterfall is going to be. So if I know that I'm going to do about 1/2 inch between each one, I'm going to want to line that all up. And then these need to end at minimum halfway up this full strip. So you might not need quite as much extension as I did, but because I did need that extension, I just glued a journal card right on the bottom, and you're never going to see the back of this. So for the next step, I'm going to mark out my lines where my journal cards are going to attach. I'm going to do 1/2 inch. So I've got 1/2 inch kind of, I like to draw on my ruler so I can tell exactly where I'm making my marks at, but I am going to just use this mark, and I'm going to go at 1/2 inch intervals right along here. And I'm going to repeat that for each journal card that I have to put on here. So I'm going to need to make 4 lines. So here's my first one. You shouldn't really see these whenever you're done, and if you do a little bit, you can always throw some ink over them, but I'm not too worried about that. So there is the first one, and then we're going to measure out another 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to make those lines easy to see. You're going to want this to be as neat as you possibly can, this part. There we go. So now there should be one of these for each tag. Right like that. All right, from here, I'm actually going to use my scoreboard. You can do this by hand. I'm going to use my scoreboard And I'm going to score starting, I've drawn lines on here so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I am going to start with right here. Make sure I'm lined up really well. I'm going to score right there, and then I'm going to repeat that for each of these lines. You can do this by hand. You don't have to have a fancy scoreboard or anything like that. I am just using it because I have it, and it's a little bit easier, and it's going to give me a nice straight line very easily. All right. I did just poke a little hole in my paper, so hopefully that does not cause a problem later. Now I'm just going to fold this in half right at the top, and this is where you can decide how much of this you want to stick out at the bottom. But you can see that that back color is showing at the bottom, and I might trim a little bit of that off. I'm going to have a pull tab, and that is going to make that kind of rippling action. So I need to make sure these are creased in both directions. You want this to be super flexible in here. I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing the other way and just kind of flip-flop it so that I have a really good flexible crease that goes in both directions. Just going to use my fingernails. All right, let's see. And there is the waterfall action, right like that. All right, so let's trim a little bit off the bottom here. I want a little bit to poke out. You can trim it all the way flush if you want, because especially if you're adding a pull tab. If you're not adding a pull tab, you can trim that just a little bit short. I'm gonna go right about in the middle, right like that. I want it to stick out a little bit. And then let's check the fit on my journal. Got my journal, and this is going to be how much space it will take up, plus my tab at the bottom, and I like that. That is going to fill that panel really nicely. So I'm super pleased with how this is turning out. Now it's time to glue these cards on. So if you're putting all your images right on the front, there's not really a lot of thought that goes into this. You are just going to glue these down in sequence so that they're one right under the other. If you want to do what I do when it flips up, you want to make sure that this is turned around, or else your image is going to be upside down. And you might want to take that into account when you print your backer paper. I don't think that looks too bad. So we want that to be right side up. You can also check how it's going to look whenever. And then there's my mouse. He's going to have to be upside down. There we go. There. So a little mouse and a house will show together. So we've got right like this. 2, 3, 4. There. Don't mess it up. So starting here, I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac, and you want to glue just to the crease. You do not want to glue on the crease. You have to glue just to the crease. Take my Fabri-Tac, a good amount of glue right here. And glue that right down. And I'm going to repeat that for each card. Take the next one from underneath to the crease. Like that. Cat. All right, and that should leave me with fairly even. That's what's nice about Fabri-Tac. I got a little off there, you see, so I was able to kind of neaten that up. And now it's gonna leave me with a fairly even little flip, and there we go. There's our waterfall. Just like that. So I'm going to let this dry for a minute before I move on. Everything's nice and dry, so I'm going to add my tab next. I'm just going to kind of flip this upside down, right like that, and grab my Oohoo glue stick. I've got my tab already inked up and folded. Just going to put a generous layer of glue on there and attach it right to the bottom. Oops. in the middle. The next step is to secure this panel. Now, I did use a decorative card here for my bottom piece. I maybe should have used a, a plain card. It's gonna be fine, I'm not too worried about it. If I want later on, I can print a second copy of this and layer it on top. But I'm gonna cut a band from that same piece of cardstock I used before. And I'm gonna cut it, let's see, let's go from this side, about, half an inch. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. The width of the band doesn't matter too much. In fact, let's just go, use the lines right there on the, I have a strip of cardstock colored on both sides. And this is gonna wrap right around here. This is what's gonna kind of secure everything so it's not flopping around in the journal. And do I want a green on top? I think so, yes, I want the green on top. Probably place it right in the middle. I have an idea for this actually. So I want to place it right in the middle and I want the green on the outside. So I'm going to just fold like that. And then fold this way. Like that. Try to make it neat. I'm going to ink the edges on this as well really quickly. I'm using Vintage Photo Distress ink for this project. All right. And let's go right back here and wrap that around again. And I'm going to glue this directly down on top of this bottom card. I am not gluing it to this back panel. This back panel has to slide back and forth. So I'm only going to want to glue it to the front of this. I'm gonna grab my Fabri-Tac again. And it should be okay if I glue this kind of middling. So glue that down. Nice coating of Fabri-Tac. I'm using this because it just dries so quickly. Makes it easier to do everything. And then let's just go across this whole thing like this. Looks like it's a little crooked. Not too big of a deal. I'll be able to fix that. Kind of shift it a bit. There we go. Neaten it up. And I'm gonna grab my scissors and trim this. A little ink. There we go. So now we've got the full waterfall all ready to go. And I'm ready to put this in my journal and then decorate it. So bringing it to my journal, I feel like I'd like to add another layer underneath of this. So when you open it up, there's a lot more going on. So I have this vintage music paper. It's quite large and I'm gonna tear it down so that it's just kind of to the inside edges. Let's see here. I want to grab, we'll use the regular ruler, I think. And I'm gonna pull some edges off of here. This tears pretty easily. It's very old. It's very thick paper. It is quite old. I'm not sure the year on this book, but probably save these little cutoffs and make some clusters with them later. All right, let's see here. I'm going to center this up. Let's try to do this as straight as possible. Something like this. Hopefully it's not all kinds of cattywampus. Let me turn this. It's not too bad. And then same thing in this direction. These are going to be some fun cutoffs to play with later. Definitely needs a little distress ink around the edges. I might have covered up more of that holiday paper than I want to though. Yes, let's tear this down and make it a little more tall and narrow. So maybe something like that. So if I tear it here, it's all trial and error, folks. There we go. Another nice cutoff for later. And probably just a little shorter as well. Let's see. I just wanted to kind of create some more impact on this page. Yeah. Let's see if I can just pull off just a little more of this. You know what? Let's do it at the top because I like how interesting the notes are there. There we go. One last bit. Yeah, I like that a lot. That kind of mats it out and makes it pop more since there's a lot of green going on here. I'll grab my vintage photo distress ink and I'm going to hit those edges pretty generously. And I think I'm going to glue this down with my Fabri-Tac, and it's just because this is such thick paper. I want to make sure it gets glued down really, really well. So I'm going to go right around all the edges. Do kind of a squiggle here. And also with the pulling the waterfall, I wanted to make sure this is down really well instead of using my glue stick, which I might normally do. Now I'm realizing, look, there's two pieces of music paper here. Oh, how funny. No wonder it was really thick. Oh my goodness. And now I've lost my distress ink. Sometimes those things happen. Let me grab, and so I'm just going to kind of do this right around the edges. That'll catch some of those edges. This is so funny. And now you can see mistakes do happen. And now I've got another panel. Maybe I'll do something on the back inside cover. All right, so let's check that. Still works, still looks good. Now to attach this, the only part that you can attach is this here, this little panel right here. You cannot glue the rest of this or it won't move anymore. So I'm gonna put a good amount of glue on here, figure out exactly where I want this, and lay it down. And let it dry. Not gonna mess with it. All right, it's all dry. Everything is moving nicely. So I'm gonna do a little decorating on this. So let's start with that band where I just kind of made a little mistake. But I mean, it's a happy mistake. I'm just gonna stick a bow on this. I've got this from the Holiday Dreams Fussy Cut set. That's gonna be adorable. Maybe a little lace behind it. Let me see what I have. I actually have a little bit of this, kind of a cheeseclothy fabric with these gold polka dots on it. And I think I'm gonna put a piece of that back there just to add a little bit of texture. So I'm gonna grab my Fabri-Tac and get some down there. I just trimmed around it with my pinking shears really quickly. My favorite tool lately. And I put a little glue on the back of the bow. I'm kind of losing that gold metallic. I want at least some of that to stick out. There you go. And now we're decorated. I don't feel so bad about that. Like I need to cover it up. Again, you can cover this, you can leave it like a plain panel where you can put notes on it, or you can put the same picture over top. You can do anything you want to kind of disguise this. I turned it into a little gift. So our mouse looks good. So we're gonna flip back. I've got a couple of plain panels here. I know I would like to leave some journaling, kind of show you. I can journal there. But I might like to add a little something else. So I've got these sayings in the Holiday Dream Journal Kit, the Junk Journal Kit. And I am going to link all of these kits down below. Let's do gifts wrapped in ribbon, tied with care. But I'll link all of these kits down below. There's a full bundle that has everything in it. It has all kinds of things. There's envelopes and fussy cuts and the whole 9 yards. Or the kits come individually as well. There's 8 kits in the bundle. We need a little distress ink. Let's see if there's enough on my dauber. So there are 8 kits in the bundle, and you can purchase those separately or all together. So I like that. I'd like to mat it out with a little bit of ribbon or something. Let's see. I think I'm gonna just mat this out with another piece of this cardstock. So I'll just kind of eyeball it. Sketch this out of the way. Grab my paper trimmer carefully. And turn it. Let's go right about there. that up, and I think there. And I just made a quick little mat that makes that pop out a little more against this surface than it would have originally. Some distress ink around the edges because we love distress ink. And I think it makes those little layers really jump out. There we go. And then when I glue this on, I think I'm going to let that be a pocket. So it's going to be a tiny pocket, a little kind of tucky pocket, but it's a pocket nonetheless. So just gluing on 3 sides, place that there. And then I'm going to glue this on proper like. There we go. Next, I'm going to grab a little piece of lace that I've already trimmed off, and I'm going to attach that right to the top of this flip here. Let's see. Stretch that out just a little bit, and I'm going to run a bead of glue right along this edge. Put that in place. And I thought that was a good place for a little bit of lace. It's going to add some texture, but also it's going to come down and kind of hide those words just a little bit. And I will neaten up this edge. And now that I've got lace there, let me see if there's somewhere else I want to put some more. I think yes. Why don't I just kind of continue to trend? So I'm going to grab, this is my little cardboard lace holder. I keep these on my cart here next to me. I'll just kind of measure another little snippet of lace. And I'll glue it on exactly the same way. I think maybe since I've done that, why don't I do the same thing here? So let me grab another saying right off of, I mean, there's no reason to mess with something if it's working. Let's do a dreamy holiday unfolds its tail. And I'll just snip that right out of there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one as I did on the last one. I'm going to mat it out in that green cardstock, ink all the edges, and turn it into a pocket. All right, that's all in place. And now I'm realizing I've got 2 pieces of lace and I like to do things in 3s. So I'm going to try and tuck a piece of lace right under that back panel. And hopefully that's not going to cause a problem. So I'll apply the glue to the lace itself because I can't really lift that up. I can pull this and then just sneak it right underneath, hopefully. There we go. Now I've got 3 pieces of lace, which makes me much happier. To finish this off, I am just going to grab a couple of little things. I've got this tiny tag from the journal kit along with a fussy cut. And I'm gonna do the same thing in the other pocket. A little tag and a fussy cut. Tuck this one behind. And that's it. Our waterfall is done. It's fully decorated. I might go through and let's see, we need to take some bulk out of this ribbon. So let's just pull that down just a little bit. I might need to trim the edges on that, but there we go. All decorated up, cute as can be. I am so happy with this for the front of my journal. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. You can adjust this for anything you want to use on your waterfall. I am using my Holiday Dream journal cards. Again, the links for all of the kits that I have used in this journal are listed in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so that you can see future videos with me working on this journal. I'll be doing some page decorating and things next, so keep an eye out for that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.